Welcome back to The Explainer. Look, when we think of home, the backyard is usually our personal sanctuary, right? A place to kick back, let the kids run around, and just soak up the summer sun. But today, we're jumping straight into 3 incredibly chilling true stories from recent accounts that are going to completely shatter that comforting illusion of backyard safety. Because what actually happens when the shadows right at the edge of your property line are hiding something sinister? Let's get into it.
We always associate these summer backyards with, fun, relaxation, good times. But I want you to really ask yourself, what would you actually do if that absolute safe space was suddenly breached? It's a terrifying thought experiment. And as you're going to see in our source material today, for some people, it wasn't a hypothetical at all. It was a very terrifying reality.
Chapter 1. The Daytime Intruder. Westchester, New York, July 2011. So our first story kicks off with a 13-year-old boy home alone with his friends. Picture a perfectly idyllic, innocent afternoon. Our narrator had just celebrated his birthday, and he and his buddies, Kyle and Zook, are out in his huge, sunlit yard, literally eating leftover ice cream cake. His parents are out for the day, so the boys are just happily occupied play wrestling. They're out there mimicking WWE moves, taking turns playing referee. You know, the absolute picture of a carefree summer day. But that totally mundane afternoon halts in a split second. Right in the middle of playing, the boy happens to glance up at his house. And despite the heavy glare from the sun hitting the glass, he spots a figure standing right at the window of his parents' upstairs bedroom, looking directly out into the yard. And remember, his family was absolutely not supposed to be home.
Now watch how rapidly the panic escalates here. He goes inside to check who's there. Minute 1, he calls out to his sister and parents from downstairs. No answer. Minute 2, he distinctly hears the floorboards creaking from the main floor right above him. By minute 3, he is desperately trying both landline phones in the den to call his parents' cells, but he's getting zero response. And then, at minute 4, he checks the front window and realizes neither of his parents' cars are in the driveway. So through this rapid process of elimination, it hits him. Whoever's walking around upstairs is a total stranger.
He calls his sister's name one last time and hears footsteps actually approaching the staircase. Now imagine the sheer terror of looking up those stairs and seeing an unknown man's bare foot peeking out from behind the wall of the top landing. Someone was actively hiding just around the corner, literally listening to him.
Now, smartly, the boy doesn't outwardly panic. He basically walks calmly away until he's out of sight and then sprints outside to his friends. He frantically calls his mom again until she finally picks up and tells him, drop everything, hang up, and call 911 right now. And while he's making that terrifying call, his friend Zook points up at a totally different window, the narrator's own bedroom this time, and just goes, yo, look. The intruder was actually moving from room to room, watching them. Okay, so the crucial takeaway here is how unbelievably easily this happened. The police showed up quick and arrested the guy, who turned out to be completely disheveled, high, unstable, and half-naked, just slurring profanities. He'd rummaged through all their drawers but hadn't actually stolen anything yet. And how did this dangerous stranger get inside their safe suburban home? He simply walked right through an unlocked door. Talk about a sobering reminder of how fast a sunny day can turn into an absolute nightmare.
Moving on to Chapter 2, The Stranger in the Woods, a quiet rural area.
Our narrator is house-sitting for his brother Ben, and he's watching Ben's chocolate lab, Bear. The suspense kicks in early on a Saturday morning walk on a shaded trail near the house. Basically out of nowhere, Bear, who is usually this super happy, relaxed dog, just freezes. His ears stand straight up, and he stares intensely into the completely empty trees to their left. The narrator sees absolutely nothing, but Bear acts paranoid, constantly looking back over his shoulder for the rest of the walk. You know how it is, animals can so often sense what we totally miss.
Fast forward to 9:30 p.m. that same night. It is pitch black outside, and suddenly someone knocks on the front door. A man asks for Tom, which is a completely fake name, not the narrator's actual name, though his real name is right there in the source text. When the narrator tells the guy he has the wrong house, the stranger pauses and then calmly drops this incredibly chilling line, "I don't think I have the wrong house." The narrator immediately locks the door, and the stranger eventually just vanishes back into the night.
But of course, it doesn't end there. At 11 p.m., Bear starts whining to go out, so the narrator takes him onto the back deck. It's lit up by a few house lights, but the woods, which are about 50 yards away, are entirely dark. Bear freezes again, exactly like he did that morning, and lets out this low, loud growl. Suddenly, the narrator actually catches movement. he spots a person sprinting across the edge of the tree line, disappearing into the pitch-black woods. And without any warning, Bear explodes forward, literally tears the leash right out of the narrator's hand, and chases this intruder into the darkness.
Let's be real, running after a dog into pitch-black woods with absolutely no flashlight is terrifying enough on its own. But once he gets under that dense canopy, the narrator loses sight of the dog completely. He stops to listen, and that's when he hears heavy footsteps that are definitely not a dog's. The craziest part? The footsteps stop exactly when he stops. Then, he hears another set of footsteps behind him. He realizes someone, or maybe multiple people, are strategically circling him in the dark, staying just out of sight. I think any of us would completely freeze in that moment, realizing just how dangerously exposed we are. Panic totally takes over, and he just sprints blindly through the branches back to the safety of the deck lights. He's yelling for Bear, and thankfully, about a minute later, the dog bursts out of the woods. But the terror wasn't over. Bear runs up the steps but flat out refuses to go inside immediately. Instead, he stops right at the top step, turns around, and stares dead into the darkness with his ears pinned straight up. The dog knew for a fact the threat was still out there watching them.
Now, the most crucial detail here drops the next day when his brother Ben gets back. Ben isn't shocked at all. A year prior, his dog had reacted the exact same way, and Ben had also seen a figure vanish into those exact same woods. Whoever it was had been watching this house on multiple occasions. It leaves our narrator with this permanent, lingering paranoia every single time he visits and looks out at that tree line after dark.
All right, Chapter 3, The Memorial Day Visitor. Jasper, Georgia, May 2026.
So here we join a 35-year-old guy named Dave, who's hosting his family for Memorial Day. It's a total picture-perfect gathering. He's hosting his brothers Pete and Jim along with their parents and kids. They've got the pool going, a massive grass area, and they're just spending the day having some beers and eating barbecue. As night falls, they're settling in for dessert. But Dave himself points out in the source material that his house backs directly onto dense woods. It's your classic cliche setup for a horror movie. And unfortunately for them, that cliche was about to get very real.
That festive, super comfortable mood shatters in an instant when a distinctly human, blood-curdling scream just erupts from the darkness of the woods. This wasn't an animal. They knew what the local foxes sounded like. This was 100% human. The music gets shut off, the air just goes completely tense. And when a second scream echoes through the trees, they don't even hesitate. They immediately send all the kids inside. The adults yell out to see if someone needs help, but all they get back is dead silence.
They eventually just pack up the party, write it off as some teenagers messing around, and everyone heads home. Dave and his wife, Nancy, are wiped out and fall asleep by 10 p.m. But a few hours later, they literally shoot up in bed because the doorbell is ringing. Dave goes down, keeps the door closed, and asks who it is. The voice on the other side claims it's his neighbor, Jack, and says it's super important. But when Dave asks Jack for his exact street address just to verify who he is, there is dead silence. Then, just the sound of footsteps retreating off the deck.
Dave double-checks that the house is totally locked up, and they eventually manage to drift back to sleep. But the true nightmare kicks off an hour or two later. Nancy wakes Dave up in an absolute panic. She just heard the unmistakable sound of their manual garage door closing, and because it's manual, that meant they had totally forgotten to lock it. Dave immediately grabs the .22 pistol he keeps in his bedside drawer for home defense. He leaves Nancy upstairs, tiptoes down the steps, and finds the interior door to the garage locked, which meant whoever just closed that outer door was now trapped inside the garage with him. Just imagine this heart-stopping terror for a second. Dave gathers his courage, unlocks the interior door, and yanks it open, aiming his gun straight into the pitch-black garage. He doesn't flip on the overhead lights just yet. In the corner, illuminated by just this faint red glow from a tool charger on his workbench, he sees the outline of a person. It's this black mass, weirdly swaying back and forth in the darkness. Dave says the sight literally made him want to throw up.
This entire horrifying standoff lasted less than 1 minute. Dave loudly announces that he has a gun and locks his aim right on that swaying figure. Instantly, the black mass scrambles toward the manual garage door, lifts it up just enough to slide underneath, and escapes into the night, letting the heavy door slam shut right behind them. Dave flips the lights on, locks the door for good, and immediately calls the sheriff's office.
As the sheriff investigates, Dave and his family are left grappling with this terrifying sequence of events. And we really have to wonder here, was this an entirely coordinated threat? Was that horrifying screaming out in the woods an intentional attempt to lure the family outside in the dark? Was the guy ringing the doorbell the exact same person who later crept into the garage? The police never found anyone, which obviously left the family totally terrified that this intruder might actually come back.
These 3 stories from our explainer today are a seriously stark reminder of how fragile our sense of security truly is. A sunny afternoon, a quiet walk with a dog, a family barbecue. They were all instantly shattered by the terrifying realization that someone is watching you. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Next time you step onto your back porch or look out into the tree line at night, take a closer look at the shadows. Are you absolutely sure you're alone? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and seriously, stay safe out there.